We got in the parts, but it's not the parts that we ordered, but it really doesn't matter because I have spare parts and Uncle Bezos delivered some spares. So let's actually fix this Bambu and show you how to remove a stuck thermistor from inside of a Bambu Lab Hotend. Let's get into it. I ordered from Bambu a complete Hotend assembly 0.4 millimeter. They sent me a 0.8 millimeter. So that's cool. I didn't want to keep waiting. Literally, the part showed up Wednesday of this week, not of last week when we actually did this, when we ordered it. So whatever. I didn't want to order from Uncle Bezos. I figured maybe you could get scammed on there, but who knew? I guess I should open it and make sure it's exactly what I ordered. And okay, it is. All right, so we've got our 0.8 millimeter Hotend here. It's got everything on it that we need, but hilariously, it's not the right size. I don't know how many of you've actually looked at a 0.4 versus a 0.8, but woo, big difference in them. Take a look here. Look at the difference in that. Also kind of looks like the 0.8 isn't dead center, but could be a little schmoo still stuck in that Hotend. And yes, I'm still carrying the stab wound. Ow, I stabbed myself. It hurt, my little fingies. There's a commenter last week that I'm really excited about. They said that there is a secret, just between you and me, of exactly how to do this right and how to do it easier than torching it, trying to pull it out, and you end up breaking the thermistor on your very nice Diamondback nozzle. If their way doesn't work, I have a drill and a drill bit. We're gonna literally drill it out. But they said something that kind of resonated with me, and I thought maybe it would resonate with you all too. Oil. Don't say that too loud. We're gonna piss off the US government. We don't wanna do that. But oil kind of makes sense. You add a little bit of oil into it, and in theory, it weakens whatever bond is in there. So I've got two different types of lube just to give it a shot. We've got my favorite, which I know a lot of people give me crap for, but I love it nonetheless. The Zoom Lily White lubricant. This is sewing machine oil. Super, super simple. And then we have 3-in-1 PTFE, which my only gripe about it is it's so thin, like its centipoise, which is the measure of viscosity, is so low that it flows better than water, and that makes it a real pain in the butt to get on things, but we do use this to lubricate rails on printers. So we're gonna try two different types of lube here. We're gonna start with the regular, just easy sewing machine oil. Really, really simple stuff. Shouldn't be too bad, but I want to give it a shot. We're going to use my very expensive Diamondback nozzle here. We're going to do it on top of the printer because, well, we can, and it's just a lot easier to zoom in like that, okay? I was told a drop of oil into the hole makes it right. So when in doubt, lubricate the holes. Just a little dab will do you. Now, I think they specifically said WD-40, but we'll see if it's consistent for any like oil-based lubricant. Better to try it because the next step is literally to find the smallest drill bit that we have and drill the hole out. That's not what we want to do. What's going to happen is you're going to have to drill through the glass, and that's not fun. That's why I highly recommend, if you are going to do this with a drill, that you buy cheap drill bits, because the likelihood of you snapping a drill bit when you hit the glass thermistor is actually pretty high. So we're hoping that the lubricant does us right.
A few moments later.
All right, we've let the oil sit in there for a little bit. It instantly pulled out a little bit more, or I think I actually just... Yeah, no. I was hoping that that was gonna do something. It didn't. We're gonna grab paper towel here. We're gonna blot it up. We're gonna grab the PTFE. We're gonna hope for the best. I guess the theory is that these oil-based lubricants will eat away at the thermal glue that's holding the thermistors in. We'll see if it works. I don't really know like what else to do other than like wiggle it around and hope that we can get some of it in there. Nah, that ain't working either. I'm gonna try the one that I want to do, which is really to torch the ever-loving bejesus out of it.
What about B. Columbus? B. Gandhi? Bejesus?
So let's back this out a little bit, because hopefully I'm not gonna be as stupid as I was earlier. I'm gonna hold it from back here. Yow! Now, because I put some PTFE oil on this, chances are she's gonna smoke a little bit.
12 seconds later.
All right, we're nice and toasty. And I just ripped the wire out. I guess it's drill time. I didn't want to do that. I hope the oil was gonna work. Okay, time for the drill. So, Got to basically use the smallest drill bit in the set. We're going to use an old Hotend just to kind of make sure that oh God, the drill bit's a bit big. Too bad. We're going to go for it anyways. Oh, okay, it's just a hair too big. Like, I can run it in with my hand, so that's good. Now, I'm sure the manufacturers out there are absolutely screaming at me because this is not the right way to do it. I know it's not the right way to do it. Using a bench vise and a drill press is probably the right way to do it, but we don't have that, and most homeowners have a drill bit. Now, I'm not gonna hold this very tight because chances are it's gonna wanna go for a ride. If it does go for a ride, we're just gonna let it go for a ride. That was easier than I expected it to be. I really don't think could have gone much better. So we did have a little bit of damage to the Hotend. We'll take a look at it, but we kind of expected this. We can see that I'm not gonna touch it. Yeah! We can see that the hole itself, you can actually see the copper under the nickel plating. There's not much we can really do about that. That's just part of the deal. I honestly expected that glass bead to put up a bit more of a fight than it did. I'm kind of glad that it didn't, but that now gives us an opportunity to rebuild this Hotend. We're gonna reuse the old heater because the heater itself on this is still good, so it's fine to go back in. I'm gonna do the thermistor first, simply because I think it's easier to do it first and use the wires from the heater to hold in the thermistor wires. If you have thermal paste, I guess, or grease, whatever, now is probably the right time to use it. Adding a little bit into the thermistor will help it stick into the hole that it's going into. We're gonna put just a little dab on that opening, then we're just gonna shove her in. Bend the wire so it doesn't have a tendency to want to come back out. And then we can set the heater in its place, put the wires down. Once we have that, we grab one of our little metal clippy things here and slide it on back. And there you have it, a sub $10 fix for an that if you didn't know how to do it, could have killed a more than $100 nozzle. These Diamondback nozzles are very expensive, but my God, are they good. But that brings us to the real one. With a brand new Hotend, we don't actually have to take all that off. We don't have to drill anything out because it is a brand new hardened steel Hotend. We're gonna put new thermal grease down. I just have an old tube handy. If you have thermal grease left over, like thermal paste left over from a PC build, this would also be an appropriate case to use it. A little on that thermistor bead. Same deal as before. Get it in and around the hole, stick it in, get it on the surface of the heater. You do want to make sure you got the thermal grease kind of all over the pad itself. Again, that's going to help with thermal transfer. These ceramic heaters are really good, but if you don't have a good thermal contact, they overheat very quickly. All right, got that together. We can grab our sock here, stick it into the sock. All right, that is built. We can reuse the old fan. We don't need to use the new one. Put the fan on just like that. Couple of screws. There you have it. A ready to go Hotend for a Bambu Lab 3D printer. It is an official Bambu Lab Hotend as well. This isn't a third party, isn't a generic one, so that's awesome. We do have one more thing to fix on this machine, but I'm not certain if it is reasonably possible to fix. This is something that was brought to my attention by other fans. Because it's literally about fans. If we look here on the top down, we've got 2 open holes. There are no bolts in those holes, and the actual threaded portion of it, or the pin, if you will, has completely broken off. Now, there are different schools of thought here. Some people say, oh, just glue the fan in. Some people say, no, replace the front cover. I think that's a waste of money. Others will tell you, just run it the way that it is. I would recommend some level of fixing this fan in place. If not, it can come loose and rattle around. I don't see the part. It came with one of them, but it was also already broken down the sides. Like, even if we glued it back into place, I just don't think it's gonna hold. If we super glue the whole fan, if you wanna replace the fan, you now run into issues of being able to get the glue off. Some of you might be screaming into your computers, use hot glue, use hot glue, use hot glue. Sure, you just have to make sure that your printing temperature and the temperature of this general area is below that of what hot glue wants. But you can see this cover here has lived a bit of a tough life. I think this is probably fine. Here's the actual part. It's definitely cracked down the center. We can try to glue this back in place. It has a very high tendency to just re-crack on us. I'm feeling zesty today, so let's give it a shot. Oh, never mind. it just broke into more pieces. This is kind of what happens when manufacturers tend to cheap out on stuff. This plastic part just broke again while I was taking the bolt out. If you are dealing with this, I'd like to know. I have not had this issue on my personal machine, but at the same time, like, I don't really mess with the fan that much. Oh man, it's broken in a third place. This part's really broken. Leaves us with a bit of a conundrum. We've got a broken part that really the only viable way to fix it is to simply put a new part on. I'm not that kind of guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I think hot glue will be fine, but I know these people do print a lot of high temp stuff. So we will use just one drop in each of the openings of a gel super glue. It's not going to be enough to keep it in there forever. I would also argue that the damage already done to this exterior housing, including this broken piece right here, is evidence enough. You just replace the outer housing. It's not that big of a deal. We've got new screws to put in that hot end so we can go ahead and get it installed. Let's move to make that happen. First thing, we got to get the old screws out. I guess we can still reuse the old screws. There's really no reason that's not possible here. One screw, two screws. Can get this hot end out, and this can go back into my spares bin. I want to remind everybody, this is what the hot end used to look like.
Old and busted.
Here is our brand new hot end.
New hotness.
Go ahead and get that installed. Now, the other thing I noticed is that their cutter was a little stiff. It's looking okay right now, but we're gonna go ahead and remove the cutter real quick, add just a little bit of lube. So what's been happening is it's causing a cutter error because the cutter gets stuck. It throws off the groove of the machine, if you will. And you could say that this oil is the poison. Cusco's poison.
The poison for Cusco. The poison chosen specially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison.
We'll get the bolts back in because that is hilariously one of the easiest things to forget about this. And because it's like decently well held in there already by just friction. I've done prints where they've just been like that, where they just kind of sit there and they're not tightened. Just snug them up. Front cover wires go in as well. Everything here has glue on it. Gotta love that about Bambu. All right, we're feeding in filament from the top of the machine. I can smell a newly heated hot end. Oh, did not succeed in that push through. So we wanna make sure that our filament path here is pretty clean. Oh, that should be much further in like that. Want to figure out where we're getting stuck. Filament comes through here, goes through there. So there is still a clog in the extruder somewhere, or that part of it pulling into the printer itself is too much of a bend. You might have an extruder. Oh, your entire cable chain is messed up. Hold on here. Why is your whole cable chain broken like that? Let's see if it loads in one more time. I'm gonna hold it upright like this, and that holding upright should allow the filament to come in a little bit cleaner. There we go. All right, so we have it loaded. So it is likely the input shape here on the machine. We have to make sure that that has a reasonably easy flow to it. But we're going to ignore that for right now. We're gonna put the glass top back on it. But what we're gonna do is we are going to unload the filament. We're gonna see how that goes. We'll take it out, we'll load it into number 3, and we'll push it in. The machine is pulling filament back, which is all a good sign. That's what we want it to do. Now we've also got the filament cut at a good angle, so we can load it into slot 3, shut the AMS. Now, verify it all fits. Let's see if it goes in the first try. No, it did not. Okay, so this is going to need a little printed part. There's a printed part for Bambus that help the filament actually go in. I might have a spare. Let me see if I've got one.
2,000 years later.
Printed part is in hand. This goes on the PTFE tube for the Bambu machine. Do note, Bambu says these aren't required, but it's not working. And that's all because the filament's not properly loading itself in. It's a Bambu thing, man. I just work here. If your Bambu is having that same problem, sometimes pieces like this can work. We just need it to load and poop out for each of the filaments. That will tell us that we did our repair correctly. So to get this out of there, just using a pair of flush cutters to push down. PTFE tube, it's a little damaged, but it's fine as far as PTFE tubes go. We're going to feed it through the slot, feed it down the ramp here. Once it comes out of the bottom, You push it in. Now, something that I like to do, I don't know if others do it, but I will then hold the coupler up and I will push down. From here, you just kind of snap it over top, and in theory, it should all work now. So, to verify, I'm gonna put the lid on it, and I'm gonna put the AMS on top in case the AMS is providing any amount of extra downforce. We're gonna move to number 2, and we'll do the same thing one more time.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Come on, work. Yes! It's pooping! Yes! Pooping! Pooping! Now, to ultra verify, I'm gonna go back to number 3, which didn't work previously, and now we're gonna see for sure if the tool actually matters. This didn't work previously, so if this works, the printed part stays. And what this printed part does is it helps the PTFE come in from a higher angle to the inlet for the filament. And in theory, if this works, it proves that was our problem. And it's pooping. It was our problem. Ladies and gentlemen,
We got him.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So now we can unload this. We'll move it into filament bay number 1 and we'll verify that is correct. Once that's correct, we're done. And I'd like to know from you guys down below, hey, if you're still watching, leave a like, get subscribed and all that, but I'd like to know from you down below, X1 Carbon, it's an older machine now, right? They've been around for, what, 3, 4, 5 years, something like that? But do you think it's still the industry standard? Should we be using the P2S? Should we be using a different machine? What is that industry standard these days? Like, what machine? Is it still good to compare machines to the X1 Carbon? Is there a different machine that you think we should be using as our ISO standard for what a 3D printer should do? Let me know in those comments, because I'm very curious. And we're pooping. Gotta love it. I'll take that 4 for 4, no problem. This machine does function as expected now. We can confidently say that. I am bummed the oil trick didn't work on this, but the drilling method worked honestly way better than I expected. A set of cheap drill bits doesn't cost you much. If you got a Harbor Freight near you, you can go there and get their cheap set. Otherwise, there's a link in the description for ones on Amazon that should do the job just fine as well. They don't have to be expensive. Please don't use your really nice set of drill indexes for this. But I do want to give a huge thank you to those channel members whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Thank you for what you all do in making videos like this possible. And I guess huge thank you to Bambu for sending me the wrong parts. Gotta love that. But we made it work, and that's why it's great to have spares. I just couldn't find my Thermistor spares. Guess what I found when I was doing a shop clean out though this week? That's why one of the cheaties is out here now. Thank you to all those channel members, and at the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out in our private Discord server where we hang out, talk about machines like this, and help you get your printers back to printing with purpose. That's all we have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. We'll see you later. Take care. Oh.